A latte mistake. Emma sprinted into the bustling coffee shop, fumbling with her phone. Her best friend had convinced her to try blind dating, and the text said her date, Alex, would be wearing a navy blazer. Spotting someone fitting the description, Emma marched over, heart pounding. Hi, Alex. Sorry I'm late. The man looked up, startled, then chuckled. I'm actually Jake. But hi. Emma froze, realizing her mistake. Her cheeks burned, but Jake grinned. I mean, I could be Alex for the day if it helps. Sorry. Emma stammered, stepping back. Wrong guy. She spun around, only to bump into someone and send their coffee flying. Whoa there! The real Alex stood before her, now drenched in iced latte. He glared. You must be Emma. Mortified, Emma tried to apologize, but Alex waved her off and stormed out, muttering about bad omens. Jake, still sitting nearby, laughed. Well, that went well. Emma shot him a look. I'm sure your day is going perfectly, Mr. Not Alex. Jake raised his cup. It is now. You want to sit down and tell me why you thought Alex deserved that latte bath? Something about his easygoing charm melted her embarrassment. Why not? You're already part of the disaster. They ended up talking for hours, trading stories about awkward moments and bad dates. By the time they left, Emma couldn't remember why she'd ever agreed to meet Alex in the first place. A week later, Jake met her outside the same coffee shop, wearing a navy blazer. This time, I am your date. Emma laughed, shaking her head. You'll always be my favorite mistake. And with that, they walked in, ready to rewrite the story they stumbled into. A latte more complicated. Emma's laughter filled the coffee shop as she and Jake wrapped up their impromptu date. But just as she thought she'd found the perfect new friend, Jake casually mentioned, I'll have to introduce you to my girlfriend. She'd love your sense of humor. Emma froze, mid-sip of her cappuccino. Oh? Girlfriend? Right. Of course. She plastered on a smile, but inside, a little voice groaned figures. A week later, Emma had other things to stress about, like her new job at a swanky PR firm. She adjusted her blazer nervously on her first day, eager to make a good impression. When she walked into the conference room, her heart stopped. Sitting at the head of the table was none other than Alex, the latte-drenched blind date she'd accidentally humiliated. His eyes widened slightly when he saw her, but his professional smile remained intact. Good morning, everyone. I'm Alex Carter, your new team lead. Let's get started. Emma slouched in her chair, praying he wouldn't recognize her. But by the end of the meeting, as everyone filed out, Alex called her name. Emma, can I see you for a moment? She shuffled over, bracing for the worst. I thought you looked familiar, he said, leaning back in his chair. Small world, huh? Look, about the coffee thing. She began, but he waved it off. Water under the bridge. Just, let's keep things professional, yeah? Absolutely, she said, her cheeks flaming. Weeks passed, and despite her initial mortification, Emma couldn't help but admire Alex. He was sharp, confident, and surprisingly kind. He stayed late to help her with projects, and even remembered how she took her coffee. Slowly, her initial embarrassment faded into something far more dangerous, a crush. But then Jake showed up at her office one afternoon. Emma! He called, grinning as he approached her desk. Jake? What are you doing here? Alex invited me. Didn't know you two worked together. Her heart sank. Of course, Jake and Alex were friends. Because the universe clearly loved complicating her life. As they chatted, Jake glanced at Alex, then back at Emma. Hey, I've got an idea. Double date? You and whoever you're seeing, me and Charlotte? Emma's stomach twisted. I'm not seeing anyone. Alex raised an eyebrow, but Jake was oblivious. Perfect. We'll set it up. That evening, Emma lingered by her desk, debating whether to skip the double date altogether. But as Alex approached, her heart skipped. You okay? He asked, his tone softer than usual. Just wondering why the universe has it out for me, she muttered. He smiled, the first real one she'd seen since they started working together. If it helps, I'm not exactly thrilled about this double date idea either. Her breath caught. Why not? Alex hesitated, then shrugged. Maybe because I'd rather it wasn't a double date. Emma's pulse raced. Maybe the universe wasn't so cruel after all. Stirring feelings. Emma couldn't stop thinking about Alex's comment. He'd rather it wasn't a double date? Was he just being polite, or was there something more? The night of the double date arrived, and Emma showed up at the trendy restaurant Jake had chosen, her stomach doing somersaults. Jake greeted her with his usual grin, and Charlotte, his girlfriend, turned out to be effortlessly charming. Emma liked her instantly, which somehow made the evening worse. Alex arrived late, his tie slightly askew, looking more flustered than Emma had ever seen him. As he slid into the seat across from her, his eyes met hers, and for a brief moment, the noise of the restaurant seemed to fade. So, Jake said, breaking the spell, Emma tells me she's crushing it at work. Alex, you're lucky to have her on your team. Alex's lips twitched into a smile. She's surprising, I'll give her that. Emma narrowed her eyes. Surprising how? Just full of unexpected talent, he replied smoothly, but the glint in his eyes suggested he was teasing her. The evening dragged on with small talk and laughter, but Emma felt like she was living in two realities. One where she politely answered Charlotte's questions and nodded along to Jake's stories, and another where every glance Alex sent her way felt charged with unspoken words. As the night wound down, Jake and Charlotte excused themselves, leaving Alex and Emma alone at the table. You're quiet tonight, Alex said, leaning back in his chair. Emma shrugged, swirling the last of her wine in her glass. Just a lot on my mind. Jake? He guessed. She laughed, startled. No. Jake. She hesitated, then added, his girlfriend's lovely, though. Alex's expression softened. She is. But I think Jake has a habit of dragging people into his plans without considering how they feel. Emma tilted her head. Like this double date? Exactly. He leaned forward, his voice dropping slightly. If it were up to me, this would have been a one-on-one dinner. Emma's breath caught. Alex. I know, he said quickly, his tone suddenly professional again. Work complicates things. But I also know what I want, Emma. Her heart pounded as he stood, reaching for his coat. Let me know if you ever feel the same. And with that, he left, leaving her alone with her thoughts, and a storm of feelings she could no longer ignore. Coffee spills and secrets. Emma couldn't shake Alex's words. Let me know if you ever feel the same. It was thrilling and terrifying all at once. For days she avoided him at work, keeping her head down and trying to sort out her feelings. But Jake had other plans. One morning he strolled into her office, plopped down on her desk, and grinned. So, how's my favorite double-date partner? Emma groaned. Do you have a radar for showing up at the worst times? Actually, I have something to tell you, he said, leaning in conspiratorially. Alex likes you. Emma's heart stopped. What are you talking about? I can tell, Jake said confidently. The way he looked at you during dinner? That's not just colleague vibes. He's into you. Emma tried to play it cool. That's ridiculous. We work together. He's my boss. Jake shrugged. So? Office romances happen all the time. I mean, you two would be cute together. He paused, then smirked. Unless you're secretly still into me? Excuse me? Emma spluttered. I get it, Jake continued, clearly enjoying himself. You were probably crushed when you found out I had a girlfriend. It's okay. Happens to the best of us. Emma rolled her eyes. Jake, I've never been into you. Not even a little. Sure, he said, winking. But listen, if things with Alex get messy, I'm always here for moral support. Or to steal you away from him. Charlotte would understand. Jake. Laughing, he stood and grabbed a pen from her desk, twirling it between his fingers. Relax. I'm kidding. Mostly. But seriously, don't let work rules hold you back. If you like him, go for it. Just as Emma was about to throw something at him, Alex appeared in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Am I interrupting? He asked. Jake spun around, grinning. Not at all. I was just giving Emma some top-tier dating advice. Emma shot Jake a death glare. I was just telling him to leave. Jake raised his hands in mock surrender. Fine, fine. I'll let you two work. He winked at Emma on his way out, leaving her fuming and Alex looking entirely too curious. Once Jake was gone, Alex stepped inside, closing the door behind him. What was that about? Nothing, Emma said quickly. Alex raised an eyebrow. It didn't sound like nothing. She hesitated, then sighed. Jake thinks he's funny. He was just speculating about things he knows nothing about. Alex studied her for a moment, his gaze intense. Speculating about us? Emma's cheeks burned. Maybe. Was he wrong? Alex's voice was calm, but there was a tension beneath it that made her pulse race. I don't know, she admitted softly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Alex took a step closer, his expression softening. Emma, if this is too complicated, tell me. But if it's not, I'd like to know where we stand. Before she could answer, the door burst open again. Guys, Jake said, breathless. You'll never guess, Charlotte just got us tickets to Paris. Emma, you're coming too, right? Work retreat. Emma groaned, burying her face in her hands. Alex sighed deeply, muttering under his breath. Jake. The city of love. Paris. The city of lights. The city of romance. And for Emma, the city of absolute chaos. She barely had time to pack before Jake, overenthusiastic as ever, showed up at her door, suitcase in hand. Ready for the trip of a lifetime? He asked, practically bouncing. Do I have a choice? Emma muttered, half smiling. She was still reeling from the conversation with Alex earlier that week. Where do we stand? I don't know, she'd said. And now she was about to spend an entire weekend in Paris with him, and Jake. The flight was long but filled with laughter and wine, mostly courtesy of Jake. By the time they arrived at their luxurious hotel, Emma was ready to collapse. But as they settled into their rooms, the awkwardness began. Charlotte, ever the picture of elegance, greeted them with a tight smile. Emma noticed how she kept glancing at Alex, her eyes lingering just a bit too long when he wasn't looking. So, what's the plan, boss? Jake asked, casually throwing an arm over Emma's shoulder. Alex, as always, was the picture of calm, though Emma caught the slight tension in his jaw as he glanced at her. We're here to relax, but I'll need you all to be on your best behavior. Meetings tomorrow. Dinner tonight. Keep it light. I'm just here for the food, Jake said, grinning. As they all headed out for dinner, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Alex and Charlotte kept to their own conversation, while Jake was practically glued to her side. Halfway through the meal, Emma excused herself to the restroom, desperate for a moment of peace. But as she stepped into the hallway, she overheard Alex and Charlotte talking. You can't keep doing this, Charlotte said, her voice soft but firm. I know how you feel about her. Don't pretend you don't. Alex was silent for a long moment. It's complicated. Is it? Charlotte pressed. You like her. You've always liked her. And yet you're still pretending like it's not a thing. It's not fair to either of us. Emma's heart skipped. She couldn't be sure, but it sounded like Charlotte was talking about her. And if Alex liked her, then what did that mean for Jake? As she slipped back into the room, Alex looked up, his face neutral. Charlotte was already lost in conversation with Jake, but Emma could see the flicker of something in Alex's eyes. Something real. That night, they strolled along the Seine, the lights of Paris reflecting in the water. Alex walked beside her, his hand brushing hers every now and then. She tried to ignore it, but it was hard when the air between them felt charged. Beautiful, isn't it? Alex said softly, looking out over the water. Emma nodded, trying to keep things light. Yeah, just hard to believe I'm here. Especially with everything going on. Everything? He asked, glancing at her. She hesitated. Yeah. Jake, Charlotte, you. Alex's face softened. You don't need to worry about me, Emma. I just want you to enjoy the trip. Before she could respond, Jake appeared beside them, arms wide. How romantic, he teased. But seriously, you two need to get a room. Emma shot him a playful glare, but inside she felt the weight of his words. Later that evening, as the group returned to their hotel, Charlotte pulled Emma aside. Can we talk? She asked, her tone much more serious than Emma had ever heard. Of course, Emma said, confused. Charlotte hesitated. I need to tell you something. I don't know how to say this, but I think Alex likes you. He has for a while. And I don't know what to do about it. Emma's eyes widened. Wait, what? But you too. It's complicated. Charlotte cut in, her voice almost trembling. I can't compete with you. I never could. Emma didn't know how to respond. Was this some sort of competition? She didn't want to hurt Charlotte, but the feelings she tried to bury for so long were starting to surface again. That night, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling. There was no way she could ignore it anymore. She liked Alex too. But where did that leave Jake? And turns in the city of love. The next day, Emma woke up to a strange sense of unease. The conversations with Charlotte and Alex the night before had left her feeling confused, torn between what she wanted and what was expected. But Paris, with all its charm, had a way of making her feel like anything was possible. She just had to figure out what that anything was. At breakfast, Charlotte was unusually quiet. She barely touched her croissant, her eyes fixed on her phone. Emma tried to ignore the nagging feeling in her chest, but then Charlotte suddenly stood up. I'm going for a walk, she said abruptly, before disappearing out the door, leaving Emma and Jake to exchange puzzled glances. Did something happen last night? Jake asked, sounding a little concerned. She's not herself. Emma hesitated. Maybe she's just stressed. This trip's a lot for all of us. But deep down, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that Charlotte was hiding something. Something more than just a crush on Alex. Later that day, the group ventured to Montmartre, the historic district that had inspired artists for centuries. Alex, as usual, was focused on business, while Jake, ever the distraction, tried to make everything a joke. But Emma couldn't stop looking for Charlotte. She found her, eventually, sitting alone on the steps of the Sacré-Cœur Basilica, gazing out over the city. Emma approached cautiously. Hey, you okay? She asked softly. Charlotte looked up, her eyes red-rimmed, but she managed a small smile. Just needed some air. It's a lot, you know? Being here. With everything happening. Emma frowned. What do you mean? Charlotte glanced around, her voice barely a whisper. I know what's going on between you and Alex. I know what that he's been making sweet eyes at him, and I know that first you were after Jake and now you are after him. But let me tell you, there is no place for you in either of their lives. They have me. Emma's stomach sank. What? It was all she could mutter. You and Alex? And what about Jake? Does he even have a clue this is going on? Yes, he does, said Charlotte, turning red and looking like she wanted to slap her. Jake has known this for a long time and he doesn't want me to leave him. That's why he plays along. Charlotte shook her head. And you, I want you to get away from Alex. He's mine. You are not a match for me. I am rich and beautiful. Just look at yourself. Emma couldn't believe what was happening to her. Her brain couldn't process the change in Charlotte. She went from a kind, charming friend to a mean witch. No wonder Jake tried to get her with Alex, saying that he liked her. Or was it even true that Jake knew about Alex's affair with Charlotte? Emma stood there so quiet in her thoughts that she didn't hear when Jake approached them. Jake, smiling brightly, did not notice anything strange going on between, and speaking at the top of his voice, never fully serious, said, What are my favorite girls doing here? We are in Paris, the city of love and wine. Let's go get some. Charlotte threw her arms around Jake and, winking at Emma, said, Oh yes, I will love some wine. Emma stood there, she didn't move. Jake turned around calling her by her name. Come on, why are you standing there? Coming, said Emma, putting a smile on her face. The afternoon went by and she just sat there observing the three of them. Emma felt like the ground had slipped out from under her. Charlotte pretended to be her old nice self and the evening went by. Emma's mind was spinning. She pretended to be a little drunk to get herself excused from the wine party. She was not capable of being around them anymore. As she stood up to excuse herself, Charlotte stood up quickly too, saying I'd better help her upstairs. Jake is always making jokes, said let's give Alex a chance to go with her just in case she needs help with the stairs. Charlotte turned around replying, no need, I'll be right down. Without another word they disappeared from the restaurant, Charlotte holding Emma until they got into the elevator, Emma pulling herself away from her grip. Stay away from me, called out Emma, don't touch me. Charlotte only smiled, saying I'm sorry for bursting your bubble. Stay away from Alex, he's mine. Emma just looked at her and said nothing in response. But deep down, she knew one thing for sure, Paris had changed everything. Leaving the city of love. The next morning, Emma woke up early, the weight of everything pressing down on her. She had spent the entire night turning things over in her mind, her liking for Alex, her friendship with Jake. Oh boy, Jake, she was sure going to miss him. Charlotte's confession, and the complicated mess she now found herself in. The city of romance had turned into a battlefield of emotions, and Emma realized something important: she couldn't stay. She quietly packed her bags, every movement deliberate as she thought about what she needed to do. As much as she wanted to stay, everything that had happened yesterday between Charlotte and herself asked them why they felt the need to play with her. She decided that it was better to save her dignity and self-respect. By the time Jake knocked on her door, Emma had already made up her mind. Hey, you ready? He asked, grinning. Emma took a deep breath. No. I'm leaving, Jake. He blinked, confused. What do you mean you're leaving? We're supposed to be having a good time here. I can't stay, she said quietly. I have to go. My aunt is very sick and I have to go to the hospital. She had an accident. Jake frowned, stepping closer. Emma, let me take care of everything? She stopped him. I already did. My taxi to the airport is waiting for me downstairs. Please tell Alex. I just didn't want to disturb him so early. Jake pulled her close to him and hugged her. Come, Em, I'll go with you to the airport. She shook her head. Please don't, I must stay strong, and if you go with me I'll break down. Jake looked at her, his blue eyes with a worried concern in them. Then take my card, he said, pulling out a credit card. Pay all your expenses with this. She pushed the card away. He raised an eyebrow. It's the only way I'm letting you go alone. She reluctantly took the card and put it in her purse, and he just kept looking at her. He knew she was lying. She has no family. But why was she running away? What did Alex do to her? He didn't want to tell her that she was lying to him, so he didn't press further. She moved to the door, her heart pounding, but before she could even open it, Jake took her suitcase from her hand and stepped in front of her. You don't need to talk to him. Let me handle this. Emma's eyes widened as Jake opened the door without hesitation. Alex, Jake said, his tone sharp. What happened to Emma? Why did she leave all of a sudden? Alex looked flustered. What do you mean she left? When? Why did she not tell me anything? That's very irresponsible of her, said Charlotte. Jake couldn't help but glanced at her. Emma is a level-headed girl. Why would she lie to him and run away? Something wasn't right. A sad feeling just washed over him. Emma arrived to the airport and decided that not only get away from Paris will be enough but changing jobs also, so she wouldn't have to run into them. Yes, put some distance between them. She turned off her phone and boarded the plane. For Jake, the party was over. He just wanted to go home to be with Emma and help her with whatever she was going through. Charlotte kept looking at him and Alex. It was like as soon as Emma left, the both became someone else. The breaking point. 2 weeks went by since they returned from Paris. Alex returned to find out that Emma had resigned her post, without as much as leaving an explanation behind. Jake kept calling her to no avail. She had disconnected her phone, and left his credit card with no charges at his office. He spoke to both Alex, and Charlotte said she was confused about Emma's behavior. Charlotte replied that it was good that she was no longer around. Either Alex nor Jake felt the same, but none replied. Jake kept looking for Emma, asking her friends and going multiple times to the cafe that they met, but he never saw her anywhere he went. Christmas time came by, and little by little he started to forget Emma. The urge he had in finding her had put a toll to him, and he decided that if they were to meet again, then it will happen. So one night he went to Alex's home to ask for takeout and play a couple of games or watch a movie. He had always have a key to Alex's house, so he arrived and opened the door, and there were Alex and Charlotte kissing, right there in front of him. Jake's eyes wide, and hands shaking. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. It was like he was punched in the gut. He walked up to both of them, and Charlotte walked up to him so that he wouldn't hurt Alex. Jake, looking at her, said, "Was I too damn blind to see it?" Raising his voice with each word. "You two deserve each other," he said, shouting at the top of his voice. Charlotte's eyes widened with guilt. "Jake, it's not what you think," he cut her off. "You don't need to say anything," his expression a mixture of anger and sadness. "I'm going to fix this." "Please stop," Charlotte said. Jake turned, his expression a mixture of anger and sadness. "I'm going to fix this." "Jake, please," Charlotte whispered, her voice small and hurt. "I never meant for this to happen." "You're a coward, Alex." "A selfish coward," he said while pulling Alex towards him and punching him in the gut, and punching him in this face. Charlotte started to yell and punch Jake, screaming at him to leave Alex alone. Alex did not defend himself, he just dropped to the floor sobbing. Jake spun around ready to leave Alex's house. As he was about to leave them both in the apartment, Alex said in a low voice, "Jake, please forgive me. I never wanted for this to happen, you know. I was serious about Emma, and if she hadn't disappeared I would have married her." Charlotte's face went pale, and replied, "What are you talking about, Alex?" Alex stood up, looking at her and saying, "You know that I was in love with her. That is why you made her leave. I have known it all along." Charlotte was so embarrassed that she got up, took her handbag, and without saying a word was about to leave when Jake called out to her, "Tell me exactly what you did to Emma. What did you do to her? Why did you hurt her? Why did you make her run away?" Charlotte was so ashamed that she told them what she did and left. Jake looked at Alex and said, "It's a good thing that Emma didn't marry you. You would have made a lousy husband. Don't ever cross my path again." Meanwhile, Emma had not been having the best of times after what happened to her in Paris, and she had lost confidence in making new friends, so whenever she was invited to socialize she kindly turned it down. But today it was different. It was the company's New Year party for employees and she had to go. And at the party she ran into Jake. "I'm sorry," he said softly as he approached her, "what Charlotte told you was a lie. I found out about them. And Alex made her tell the truth. He confessed that he wanted to marry you and she did that to separate both of you guys, and she said I knew about their adventure to break our friendship." Emma shook her head, her chest tight with emotion. "It's not your fault, Jake. I just didn't know. I don't know what to do anymore. I am at loss here. I feel like I can't trust anyone anymore." Jake smiled gently, squeezing her hand. "You won't have to be lost anymore. I'll be here and I'm not leaving you again. I spent 6 months looking for you, everywhere. I love you, Em. I always have since the first day you sat at my table at that coffee shop." Emma looked at him, and felt how life started to return to her just by the warmth of his hands. 6 months went by and they got married and went to Paris for their honeymoon. As the plane took off, leaving Paris behind, Emma felt a sense of happiness. She, too, had always loved Jake from the first day.